All right, Hebrew facts concerning the Bible. Well, my inbox is blowed up probably about, I would probably say 20 to 30 emails a week. People who are reevaluating the Bible. They're looking at things a little bit different other than the traditional ways that they have been raised. And I commend people for actually doing their own independent research and their own due diligence. And of course, you're going to run into a train wreck, literally a train wreck. Anytime you set out on a quest and a journey to discover and learn truth for yourself, especially with the resources that we have available to us today, it's something to be commended. I mean, people used to look down upon, people trying to educate them own selves because they wouldn't think that those people would be qualified. Well, now it's looked upon them. Now it's really looked upon highly and it's esteemed because you show the ability that you have discernment and you can read and write for your own self, comprehend and discern good from evil and evil from good and truth from lies, which religion doesn't plan on you ever realizing. So anyway, the Hebrew question. I understand a lot of people are taking offense about a lot of things that I say, and that's to be expected, especially when you've been pre-programmed to think a certain way. It's hard to wrap your mind around a lot of things if you've never heard them before. That's the reason why that I admonish everybody to study for themselves. I'll give you an example. Here is, and it's getting very hard to obtain one of these, but here is the 1611 King James Version of the Bible. 1611 King James Version of the Bible. That's what it is. 1611 King James Version. And this book right here has probably about 14 books that your modern day translations don't have. And actually what it is, it's the bridge between history. You see, when you get finished with Malachi, it talks about the Persians ruling everything. And then you get over to the book of Matthew, it's like there's a big, gigantic gap in history. I mean, big gap in history is missing because automatically the Romans on the scene. Well, what is that gap in between that? Because, the Persians and the Greeks fought. And then the Romans and the Greeks, pretty much, which the Romans end up assimilating into the culture of the Greeks or whatever culture that the Greeks have. The Romans adopted it. And out of it, we have the last ruling empire. And a lot of people don't understand the reason why that I talk about separation continually. The reason why I talk about separation is because the Bible does. Think about it. Our problem with our people today, especially the Hebrews, our problem with the people today is being like the people of the other land. Go back and read the Torah and see what the Most High said about us. He told us he didn't want us to be like the other nations, but we wanted a king just like the other nations. He told us that we were separated, sanctified, set apart for him and his use. And after many different captivities, and we've been scattered from one end of this earth to the next, and we're still scattered all over the place. You can see the reason why he wants us to, because he said that we would end up learning our ways. That's what happened when we were brought captive over here to the land called the Americas, is that us Hebrews, we end up adopting the culture of the Europeans. And when we adopted the culture of the Europeans, that means our name was stripped from us, our nationality was stripped from us, our land was taken away from us, our culture was taken away from us, our heritage was taken away from us. We actually discontinued from that totally, and then end up adopting another one. And, it's a very painful thing because now that we're like 400 or 500 years removed from all this captivity and slavery and stuff, we're probably about 10, 12, 13, 14 generations from the time we were bought over here on slave ships. Of course, now the generation I grew up in, they done forgot all that stuff. They can't even forget it because it's not even presented to them. Everybody else in every culture all across this world and every nationality has a history. But then when you get to America, all of a sudden the blacks in this country, we don't have a history. Well, it depends on how you read, how you determine order and perspective. And, of course, when you look at the prophecies of the Bible, There's not another people on the face of planet Earth that fits the prophecies of this book right here, like the Hebrews do, which I just so happen to be one. And of course, we're at the end of days, and of course, you know, this new world order. You remember when King Antiochus, if you are familiar with the book of Maccabees, King Antiochus wrote a decree and passed it throughout all of his kingdom that all people should be one people. And what are we faced with today? History repeating itself again. A new world order, one people. You see, we're no longer separated like we should be. We know we should have our own culture, our own heritage, our own nationality, and anybody who want to become a Hebrew, anybody want to become an Israelite, they should be able to. But we're only presented with the religion of Christianity because it's the religion of our captors. You know, the Roman Catholic Church, when you look at history, they were some of the first people to actually enslave the blacks. They took 16 blacks from the continent of so-called Africa. The Africa continent called Africa is named by a European by the name of Leo Scipius Africanus. But this Bible right here calls it the land of Ham. And they took them up there and they found out that, you know, you could actually work these slaves for free. And then the Pope made an edict and said that the only people that could be enslaved are black people. And it started the quest of racism. It started the literal race of everybody racing to get black people to do their labor for them so that they wouldn't have to work. And of course, that's the guys that they all go up under and stuff. And there's a lot of history that most people practice collusion don't ever plan on you ever knowing. But you know, King Antiochus wanted the people to be one people. And that's what America is. When you come into America, you can worship any god or plethora of gods or anybody who you want to worship. The Christians get all mad and upset, but it's written in their constitution, in their doctrines, that hey, people have freedom of religion, freedom of expression, and freedom of speech in this country. The only time they don't like it is when people start exercising it. They worried about Obama being a Muslim as far as a president. So what? He's a Muslim. I mean, after all, the Constitution backs him up. So what's the big deal? The founding fathers of this country, well over 70% of them were all Freemasons. Freemasons is a religion, whether people like it or not. It's a religion. You and I are not invited. But, you know, I think that if people would start to really truly look at the things the way that the Bible says, they will discover a lot of truths. And then they would really truly find out who's causing all this division and separation among us as a people. But I tell you what, it is utterly amazing how that we've assimilated into a culture where there was things that was literal abomination in the Hebrew faith. I mean, after all, you read in this Bible from one end to the other, you know, it's forbidden for Hebrews to eat swine's flesh. And yet we live in a society, it's a delicacy. They eat swine from the nose to the rear end, and they love it. But they're Christians. But you have to understand, I think one of the biggest things that it is to understand about this book is that there are no laws, there are no statutes, and there are no commandments in this Bible right here written for Christians or Muslims or anybody of Judaism or any other religion or faith. This is a family book. This is a book about the family of the Hebrew Israelites. And if you can approach this book from that perspective, you'll gain great understanding. But don't expect the culture that we live in to actually teach and preach it to you from that viewpoint perspective, because you have to be a real true Hebrew in order to teach this book from the right order and the right perspective and the right way. That's the reason why the prophecies are skewed and things are all turned upside down and things are going away backwards in the society we live in today, is because people are approaching this book from the wrong perspective. When you approach it the wrong perspective, you can write a lie like you can tell a lie. You can see the clear penmanship, the ink. Hey, this book contains the book of the Apocrypha. It's called hidden. If you would actually obtain you an Apocrypha and you would read that book, you'll find out the reason why the powers that be took it out of this Bible right here. And of course, if you do that, you have to understand that truth always brings about some form of some type of separation and destabilization. You might as well get ready to be called an enemy, a crackpot, a kook. You might as well get ready to be called a cult leader, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All because you chose to do something that other people don't have the ability to do, which is read and think for yourself, become an independent thinker, and then you make an informed decision. And then once you do that, find the people of this book that are still alive today and well, and actually following the laws and statutes and commandments of this book, then you'll know who the creator universe is, because this book only says that he is only the Elohim, or the creator, or the God of the Hebrew Israelite people. No other religion, no other people, no other place. And the Messiah, Jesus Christ, did not come to save nobody but his people from their sins. That's a painful reality. We've got a religion that has dressed things up and flavored things up for us, and they've even made a new way of salvation. They've even done away with all the laws, and we have ignorantly followed these things. But it's a time for us, especially those of you that are over 40 and then you're in your 20s, you have the ability to hear. It's time for you to start using the mind that the Most High is giving you, and start to read and study for yourself. And you'll find out that I'm telling you the truth on every single front that I preach and teach from, that I'm literally telling you the truth. Now, people may not like that because, people have different ambitions, different dreams. They have different perspectives, different religions, different doctrines that they've chose to believe in themselves. But after you check things out and do your own due diligence, you'll find out that I'm brutally honest when it comes to the truth. We got one life. That's it. I've been on the side of what you call unbelief, no God, Baptist church, Christian, you name it, I've been there, done that. It's old hat, but now I'm informed. I'm literally informed, and I have the experience. I often say that those with the argument is always at the mercy of the ones with the experience. I hope I said something to stimulate thought, and I hope that you will start reading your Bible. You can listen to me every Sabbath morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on this live video feed on www.online-church.org. I'll be on live tonight on blogtalkradio.com/straightway. And I'll be taking phone calls tonight, but I hope I said something to stimulate each and every last one of you. I take phone calls live every Friday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all be encouraged. Have a good weekend.